All right, guys, so today everyone should have their focus and their study guide out. Friendly reminder that tomorrow you do not have an outline due. It's due on Wednesday. I tried to give you a break. Tomorrow you do have 11 through 20, Wednesday 21 through 30, and your outline due. Your test is on Thursday of this week. Your focus and your study guide are all due on Thursday. Friday, I am going to teach. It's going to be a pretty chill day, though, because there's no point in trying to crush content if you're going to go on a week break. No. So, keep that in mind as we go through the week. This Thursday, you have a test. When we get back, you'll have a test on the following Thursday. And then the following week after that, we're trying to get back on the Wednesday schedule. Sounds good? So, let's do it. Are you ready for a nap? So, on Thursday, we did talk about nature-nurture controversy. What is nature? Who can raise their hand and give me an example of nature? And then, what do you got, Olivia? Damn you. Your heritability, what? I know. We didn't get here? What the hell did we do?
We
Okay, perfect. We'll fill it in here. So nature is all your genetics. So what would be an example, Olivia, of your nature? You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but that's a little bit because you have a little nature and nurture to that. Huh? It's a little bit complicated because there's a little nature nurture to it. You know what I mean? What is the nice, clean, perfect example of nature, Olivia? Give me an example, Olivia. All of your genetics are nature. Give me an example of nature. Yes! You have blonde hair. Is it natural?
Yes.
It's very pretty. Would you call it strawberry blonde?
Yeah.
Okay. Strawberry blonde, that's your nature. Simple, stupid. Your eye color.
Are strawberries red? Why would you call it strawberry blonde? No, I'm just wondering.
You've never heard the expression?
No, but I thought strawberry blonde was like for people who had like a reddish.
It's like a blondish, reddish hair.
I don't see any red.
Oh my God. We're moving on. Thank you, Miss Bush. Thank you. We have now really.
Sorry.
Okay, nurture. What is nurture, McKinnon?
Nurture is your environment.
Okay, so what would be an example of your environment?
The situation. Like
No, stop it. Give me like a genuine example of nurture that you are forced into.
Grant in South Tampa. Would that be one? Like sheltered environment.
Aggressive driving.
She's throwing shade on all of you people.
Wow.
Sheltered, yes, I'll accept that. I had a very heated conversation on Friday about it. All right, what do you got? Because I saw my girl, Toledo.
Road rage.
Road rage, yes! I also had that this weekend. Hopefully this weekend when you saw your parents, were you like, damn it, I do that. I eat my peas the same way. I don't know how else you eat peas. I'm not gonna lie, but like I don't really know.
Pop them. Like pop them.
No. Sam!
Can you explain how road rage is?
Oh, because I watched my mom lose her mind driving. My mom is like a really sweet woman. She's got a lot of crazy. But behind the wheel, she is a maniac. And she will do whatever it takes. She will take blood to get a spot in the front. That's the only thing she's super competitive about. She doesn't really care about most things. She doesn't care about fine clothes, purses. I think she's had the same purse since 1981. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure. She doesn't care about any like material thing, but she will get the best spot. And she will sit there and she will honk at you if you're not moving out of the spot fast enough. She is the worst. And that's where I get it from. What would be another example? Jenny, give me an example.
Finishing your food.
Huh?
It's on your plate.
Eating everything on your plate. Do any of you eat in a particular order? McKinnon, how do you eat?
I have to eat like things can touch, but if there's like chicken, corn, and beans, I have to eat all of one thing before I can eat all of another thing.
Really?
I do that.
Did your parents do that? Did they teach you to do that? No? You're just weird? Cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else eat in a weird way? What are you gonna
I always like if I leave the plate and something that I don't like, I always eat that first, and then you go But like let's
Save
say
the
like
best
I
for
don't
last.
baked peas and stuff. Like I'll eat the peas.
Peas are a
and
thing
I'll
today,
want,
huh?
Like the corn.
The
But
peas.
I'll add like a save last. And that way, like by the time you're at the end, you're like, oh, that was good. And you forget about
Save the best for last, Miss Bennett.
What do you got, Sophie?
Whenever I eat strawberries, I eat the smallest ones first, and then I eat the bigger one. But like by the time I get to the bigger one, I don't want the bigger one, so I'm not hungry.
So
You ate a strawberry.
Like strawberry, like the different sizes.
Yeah, but like, how do you not like eat a strawberry? Like,
Well, no,
It's
like
really
you just eat the
filling
smaller
stuff.
ones first, and then you eat the bigger ones.
You're like more bigger ones.
That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. All right, we're moving on. All right, so nature nurture controversy is the argument over which one is stronger, genetics or environment. So, which one do you think is more powerful to you when you look at your parents and your look at your parents and the environment you were raised? Or do you think you as an individual are making very conscientious decisions? Which one do you think is more powerful, nature or nurture? What do you think, Alyssa?
I think for me, it'd be nature because my parents are always telling me to like chill out, like you don't have to do all these fake news or whatever. And I don't think that's even really
An option for you?
school we go to. I mean, it could be partly that, but I think I do it in my environment. So like my parents are all
Okay, so you see that your own internal drive is more. So it'd be nurture. Okay, what else? Which one do you think is more powerful? What do you think, Jack? Is that what you're writing now on your pages?
Okay, my name's is so long, and then you expect us to write an off or a column, and
Are you tired from writing your name 4 times one day a week?
No, you move so damn quick, Miss
One
Bennett.
day a week? One day a week wears you out? Oh my God. What do you think is more powerful, nature or nurture?
probably
Nurture, you think? Why?
I don't know. I learned a lot from my parents.
All right, and you think that is the
They
core
have big
foundation?
influence.
Okay, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I think you can go either way. In some aspects, I think your genetics are the heaviest and the most powerful component of it. However, other things, I think nature, my environment is. My own political views have changed significantly once I left my parents' house. You know, I was super influenced by my daddy's like super conservative. Now I'm definitely more moderate. If you talk to my dad, I'm now like a raving liberal, which I'm absolutely not. Absolutely not. I am just more of a moderate. I'm between the two. I have voted both Democrat and Republican in presidential and senatorial elections. But according to my father, I'm a raving liberal, and I literally walk around and the world goes on fire. Because
Is it
that's,
true that like if you go to college, you turn out more liberal?
I believe I'm more liberal not because of my professors at school, but from teaching and seeing different situations, different cultures, the impact government can have and help and stuff like that. That's why I'm a liberal. More liberal, not a liberal. I am a Republican with social leaning liberal tendencies because of my experiences in schools and seeing the positives that can come out of government programs. But I am very Republican on money. Finances, I'm very conservative and stuff like that. So I vote by candidate, not by party. And so that's one of the things that has changed from me. A lot of my own opinions based on both political and other ideas have changed and have evolved, and that would be mostly because of my environment, the people I surround myself with and stuff like that. So whatever your political leanings are now, hopefully they change. Can we agree? Not saying that but if you're not changing and growing, people, you're dying. So, like, you should be changing and adjusting and taking all of your experiences into and doing those types of things. Lauren?
Okay, does nurture include like stuff that like you don't do because it has someone else?
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely. I do a lot of things because my mom does it and it drives me crazy, so I refuse to do it. For instance, I absolutely hate that my mom only talks about work. So when I go home, McCrae's like, how's your day? Fine. How was your day, McCrae? Fine. Cool. Then we find something else to talk about. Because I just don't want to live in a cycle of school, because it's clearly my life. Can we agree? I just don't want to talk about it all the time. You know what I mean? I'd rather sit quietly and get my work done instead of just reliving it over and over again. And McCray doesn't give a crap. He doesn't care. And I don't want to be egotistical to believe it. He does care. Because he doesn't. How was your day? Fine. Anything good? Nah. It's a typical Monday. What do you do to avoid? What is one thing you do just to annoy your parents? Because we all do those things. I currently did one this weekend. It was awesome. Even though I'm a grown woman, married, for God's sake. Pissed my mom off this weekend. Oh, it's not that hard to do. What would be, what is something you do because your parents do it and you don't like it or you try to avoid it? Because that's also environment. What do you got?
Be late. My mom's late for everything. Like, no matter the situation, like, she'll be late. And so I'm never late.
Never late. Perfect. That's a perfect example. What do you do in order to oppose your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever you live with, whatever your environment? They do everything perfectly, and it's a beautiful thing, and you're just so proud, and you just want to be just like them. Jeez. I wish that was my life. That is not my life. Sam!
It's kind of weird, but
It's okay. We've talked about peas like 4 times today.
her top lip, and sometimes I do that, and then I'm like, this is so weird. Why would I bite my top lip? Start writing my mom. No one said
Wow, you really show her. You really showed her. I'm not biting the top lip. I'm biting the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Karina, what do you do to oppose your parents? Or what is something that you purposely do or do not do? Zach, what do you do?
When she drives my car, she's putting gas in it. So if her car's in there sometimes, I'll literally go outside and rev the engine. Or I'll just take it around just to waste the gas in it.
Come on, God. That is so petty. That is so petty.
Like, she won't give me money to get gas, so then I gotta go to my dad and then get his credit card and then go all the way to the gas station.
You can get his credit card, not even ask
That
his
is
permission, just get it and go.
so petty. McKinnon.
My dad's like sports. So me and my brother neither of us play sports, and we refuse to because he's so intense about sports.
Yeah. He'd be the crazy dad on the sidelines, huh?
Didn't he used to be our basketball coach? And like,
He was.
he was so scary. He's so competitive.
So competitive. So now me and my brother both do theater.
I remember
You
You
practicing.
showed him. Does he get passionate about your performances?
No.
Oh my god.
Oh. Oh.
It's all
It's fine. All right, here we go.
Elementary school.
All right. So, oh, you need chromosome. So, DNA. For DNA, please write the recipe for a human. So, in your application box, please write recipe for a human. Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell us what the recipe was.
I know. I was looking for like a formula.
Why is that creepy? It's true.
I thought you were going to say, like, you put this in, you put that in.
Well, now you just made it weird.
It's a little confusing.
How do we not
Oh, that's true.
What are you giggling about?
It was a show.
I know it was my generation, not your generation. All right, here we go. So, genetics. So, conception, the moment in which a female becomes pregnant. So, when we start talking about conception, obviously, there's 2 major components that can require for conception. You have an egg and a sperm. Obviously, women are the ones producing the egg. Every year, I always have a kid who is confused about this, and I don't understand how they made it this far. How did you make it this far? How did you not know this? Anyway, so conception is the moment the woman becomes pregnant. You are typically pregnant for about 2 weeks before you even know. Sometimes it's even longer. Why is that scary?
That's scary.
You're also going to
You don't
get
even know
pregnant,
it.
ladies. You're also going to get pregnant and lose the pregnancy without ever knowing. Okay, and the reason why that is, there's no pain, there's no marker. It just, you have a pregnancy and then you lose it. The reason is because our bodies are so well tuned for survival, ladies. It's kind of cool that the moment you get pregnant, and gentlemen, it's important you hear this too. The moment you get pregnant, your body is constantly checking to make sure the viability of that egg, and that now what would be the zygote. Okay, so when a egg gets fertilized, it becomes a zygote. Okay, so when that zygote is created, your body is constantly checking to make sure it's the best DNA and the best it can possibly be. Why would your body be checking to make sure, ladies, if it's the best possible zygote possible? Why? Think about it logically. If you're going to have a baby, why would they be checking to make sure the DNA is the best concoction it can be? Riley?
Because you wouldn't want to pass down genes that are defective because that would in turn, it wouldn't further the species.
It wouldn't further the species, absolutely. What's another big component of it? Huh? It could harm you, absolutely. Guys, you're carrying a child for 9 months. Okay? The further along in pregnancy that you lose a child, lose a zygote, which will eventually become a fetus, the harder it is and the more dangerous it is for women, which is like a huge issue. So we'll get to that here in a second once we get to that part. But what is happening is your body is constantly checking the viability of the zygote to make sure it's the best possible, to make sure we can the generation can reproduce, of course, as well as to make sure the mother is safe in pregnancy. So you're typically the average woman gets pregnant about 30 times. Yeah, but you never know you're pregnant because your body just rejects the pregnancy. It's completely natural. You don't even know at the zygote stage. It's just going to look like a normal period. You have no idea. It will never be painful. It just terminates the pregnancy because it's not the best possible viable option. Think about it. Women have to carry a child for 9 months and then literally take care of it until it can fend for itself in its teenage years, correct? So it's a huge investment for women to make sure the baby is the best it can possibly be for women. The psychological impact of having a child, carrying a child for 9 months, and then caring for it until it's a teenager and can provide for itself is the reason why men and women see relationships differently. Women are hardwired to need commitment. Why do women need commitment? Yeah. First of all, it's growing inside of you for 9 months. Holy moly. Then, if nothing else, ladies, you have to provide for that child, correct? That is why women and men do see relationships differently. And women are hardwired not to because it's an evolutionary standpoint. Imagine how well you'd be able to fend off the bears if you were carrying a little baby on your hip. Would you be able to fight the bear?
We're back.
Yeah.
We're back to Bears.
Okay, so with that being said, women and men see relationships differently. Men's investment in sex is very, very short. It's essentially the sperm donation is the contributing factor that men provide. So because of that, can you pass that to Sophie? Because of that, men see relationships as something that can be sporadic, can be quick, easy, and that's why men and women see sex differently. Because men's participation in sex, essentially the creation of a baby could happen once, it takes 10 seconds. You know, it's literally ejaculation straight into the creating of the zygote, and then their contribution is done until the baby is born, and then they can or cannot be there. True, not true? So that is the fundamental difference between. Now, we live in 2017, thank God, and the responsibility of men has drastically shifted. Men now are responsible for helping to raise the children, and it is now finally socially acceptable for men to be excited about having children and want to hang out with their kids. My parents' generation, the 1940s, 50s, men went to work, came home, patted little Timmy and Tommy and Jill on the head and sat down and watched TV and hung out. And what was the mom's job? To raise the kids, cook, clean the house, and all that stuff. Now, roles are changing. For instance, McCray just got paternity leave. So it's so exciting. He has 2 weeks of paternity. No, God, no.
Wait, so what does that mean?
That makes
He gets paternity leave.
But for what?
So if we decide, not me,
Oh.
if we decide to have a kid,
Like you
I thought you just said
No, God,
something.
no.
I was like,
Stop the
Everyone
rumors.
was like,
Stop the rumors. But his company just gave paternity leave. We're in 2017,
Oh,
ladies
well,
and
you
gentlemen.
didn't say it. You made it
have
sound
the
like
ability. You have to
Yeah, I
have
thought
the
he was
ability
going on.
to have.
Yeah, he can be on paternity leave. That's cool. So for the first time, so beforehand,
something.
ladies and gentlemen, if you were pregnant, you took maternity leave, which is about 2 or 3 months, and you go, you give birth and you raise the baby because they're completely dependent on you, of course, and then your husband would be there for the weekend and then go to work with a baby at home that literally was just born, and you would go. Is that going to help the attachment or slow down attachment? Is it going to help attachment or slow it down? Slow it down, absolutely. And postpartum depression, of course, you've heard of this, correct? Yes? Postpartum depression is after a woman gives birth. Her hormones are all over the place. You literally just gave birth to a human. Of course, your hormones are all over the place. And your body is trying to shed all of the layers. It's trying to get its hormones correct, getting back to normal progression and normal moods. And it can lead to a lot of suicidal thoughts. And with the pressures of being mom in 2017, good God. You're supposed to have your body back and look like Kim Kardashian again in 2 weeks? Jesus.
You got surrogate too.
It was a reference. It was a reference. It was a reference. With that being said, I mean, the pressures of being a mom and being a good mom and all that stuff, along with your hormones being out of whack, it can cause a ton of issues. So having men at home longer, is that going to help the mothers or hurt the mothers? Help. It's also going to foster a stronger relationship between the baby and the child. A lot of men complain. Baby and I hate every single one of you. Between the father and the child, which is going to foster a longer, better relationship and more investment in the relationship. A lot of fathers, especially even to my generation, were saying that they don't feel like they have a kid until the kid's a toddler. Why? They have a kid, but they don't feel like they don't care. You can't talk. And who does a baby want all the time? The mom, because the mom's a food source, correct? It's a source of comfort and all that stuff. So because of that, they're also only spending intense time periods with their mom because of the paternity leave, correct? Women are taken care of. So it's a whole fostering this whole dynamic between men and women. And so it's a really cool thing that's happening now, thank goodness. So when we talk about zygote, it's a resulting of the uniting of the ovum and its sperm, divides into many cells eventually. So when you are first pregnant, it literally starts splitting within 15 minutes of fertilization. The egg splits in half, so you have 2 cells, and then they start replicating from here on out, and it's going from essentially about 15 minutes after it starts happening, which is pretty crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. So the zygote is going to be, so ladies, when you are pregnant, we all know what fallopian tubes and a uterus look like, yes? All right. Some of you are looking at me like you have no idea. Okay, so when you, and you do need this for a test, so it's not just weird. Huh? Did you say it's a pie?
No, it's a pie.
That's the
Symbol for pie.
I hate every single one of you. Especially your, okay. Alright, so what happens is you have, this is actually a really terrible drawing.
That's why we have to.
I can make it out, I think. Yeah, that's
That's better.
wow.
Alright, these are your ovaries. So, your ovaries, when you're born, this is the craziest thing. When you're born, ladies, you have every single egg you will ever have inside of you. Yes, you're born with a sack full of eggs.
That's disgusting.
2 of them. So, men don't start producing sperm until they hit just before puberty, and they start producing sperm, and they'll produce sperm for the rest of their lives. Eventually, it won't be viable sperm, it won't, but they'll still continue to produce. Women, we're born with it. So every single month, 1 egg. If you're in a normal, anyone here from multiples? Anyone have twins in their family? No? Oh, cool. So we're all normal here. Okay. So with normal, what happens is 1 egg matures every single month, and it is released into your fallopian tubes, and then it travels into your uterus, and then it flushes out every single month with the cycle of the period. And that's just the shedding, that's the de-shedding of all the walls of the uterine wall. So every single month you release one egg. During that time period, your whole body, ladies, at age 16 to my ripe old age, all your body wants to do is get pregnant. The younger you are, the easier it is. So your body is literally like pregnant, pregnant, pregnant. So, with that being said, your body is constantly trying to have that occur. So once the egg matures, it goes into your fallopian tube. Eventually, it will go into your uterus, and eventually will be shedded out, and that's a normal period cycle without pregnancy. When you get actually pregnant, you're actually pregnant in your fallopian tubes. A fallopian tube, once it's there, sometimes it does attach to your fallopian tubes, which is not where. Once the zygote, after about 2 weeks, it takes the time to exit your fallopian tube and attach to your uterine wall. That is when you can take your first pregnancy test, once it attaches. When it is just a zygote, so it has, this egg has sperm in it, what happens is it's just kind of like floating. I don't really know. Like in my head, it kind of floats. Or it could be like a tumbleweed. I don't really know. But in my head, it floats. So it's going to float from the ovaries through the fallopian tube, and eventually it is going to attach to the uterine wall. I'm just going to go through this whole thing and be done. So the first 2 weeks are the germinal period. During this time, your zygote is just floating through your fallopian tubes, and it's not attached to anything. Which is why when I mentioned before, ladies, you're going to be pregnant about 30 times and you'll never know, because it's not attached to anything, and the body will just naturally kind of reject it. So the germinal period is the first 2 weeks of pregnancy. Once it becomes a zygote, and it's literally, like I said, I'm not really sure, but in my head it kind of floats through like the fallopian tubes, and it does not attach to anything. So the zygote moves down from the fallopian tubes to the uterus, and it is not attached. So that's why, like, when you take your first pregnancy test, it says you can know up to 2 weeks that you're pregnant. And the reason why they say 2 weeks after your missed period is because the germinal period, there's no attachment to the uterine wall. What a pregnancy test does, it's picking up hormones in your urine. And so when you take a pregnancy test, it's literally just testing for those hormones, but there's no waste or no hormones being released in until it attaches to your uterine wall. And that's how, you know. Can I change it? Oh, I can add to the next one. So the next one is the embryonic stage. And the embryonic stage is the second one. The embryonic is when it attaches to your uterine wall. So if you are fertile, if you're a fertile age, which means puberty to about 40s, late 30s, early 40s, every single month you're going to have a lining. Okay, every month it develops. It's just super, super blood-rich tissue on the inside of your uterine wall. So what happens is when the zygote attaches to the uterine wall, okay, it's now called an embryo. And so it goes your germinal. In your germinal stage, what is the baby called? Zygote. I would write this down. This will help you. This is like a ton of questions on your test. Okay, so the first stage is a germinal, and it's a zygote. The second stage is what? Hello? Embryonic. And what is it called in the embryonic stage? Embryo. Okay, so the embryonic stage is period 2 to 8 weeks. So this is 2 weeks. This is 2 to 8 weeks. Okay, and this is when the major organs and structures of the organism begins growing. It's not called a baby until it's born. Until after birth is it called a baby. Beforehand it's a fetus, or an embryo, or a zygote. So we don't use the term baby until it's born. So the embryonic stage, it's just attaching, and this is going to be when you can finally pick it up. Now, at the location of attachment of the embryo, what develops there? What grows from there? We have no idea. The placenta. Oh my God, yeah. Okay, what is
Nobody ever talks about placentas.
placentas? Okay, the placentas are the reason why you have a belly button. That warms your heart so much. And you're not a human.
Yeah, some people don't have belly button.
They get them surgically removed. That director Alfred Hitchcock, the guy that directed Psycho, got his.
Okay, that's weird. That's not normal. Like,
Goes
anyway.
to the beach, doesn't have a belly button.
Wait, so why do people eat it after they give birth?
Okay, let's not
Oh,
talk about that.
okay, anyway, moving forward. Okay, so what happens is the placenta is wherever it attaches, that is going to be the obviously location where the baby is going to be getting all of its food supply from the mother, correct? Ladies, what happens is when the zygote attaches and becomes an embryo, all of the food sources is coming through you. Now there is a slight filter. The craziest thing about carrying a child, ladies, is that, and gentlemen, it's important you hear this too, your blood and your baby's blood never touch. That your baby's blood can be totally different from your blood. It's inside of you.
Not of you.
See, that doesn't come across in my head. In my head, my blood would be their blood, you know, because like, here we go, it's mine, you know? No? Anyway, there's a filter that cleans, essentially processes all the food and all that stuff going in. And then the placenta is where all of the waste from the baby comes through as well. The blood never mixes. Apparently it blows my mind. It does not surprise Alyssa at all. She's like, hello, they die. No, you're totally fine. No, I don't know science. Science is not my thing. So the fact that you're like, yeah, it would die, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would it die?
Because well, it just depends on the blood types. Like if you had AB and the baby had A, you're fine. That's
Yeah, they're kind of
Like if
similar.
you give a human the wrong blood transfusion and die.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
every blood type.
No, I didn't know.
They wouldn't necessarily die.
If
Your
you're
body
O
will try to-
negative and they give you A
Yes.
positive, you're dead.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, O negative
You're gone.
How quickly will it kill you?
Pretty
It
quickly.
depends on how much and where and
Because of the way the circulatory system works. Well, what if they're like losing blood fast and they give you the wrong blood type? Like,
O
negative?
Is it like O neg, like universal?
Yeah.
This is so interesting. Yes, Riley.
Then you just sue Lauren.
Because the thing is, if your baby actually has a different blood type from you, it can actually cause ill effects for the mother. Like if the mother's O positive and the baby's O negative, they actually have to give the mother special medication so the mother doesn't die during pregnancy.
This is just the craziest thing. I didn't know. I learn things every day. I had no idea. You can die from the wrong blood transfusion?
Oh, Miss Bennett, what did you
honestly
think?
I never
You
knew
think it's
that
like
either.
gas? Like it's like
And I've seen like every episode of Grey's Anatomy, and I never knew that.
That's crazy.
Miss
I
Bennett.
don't think that's really a reference.
I mean,
That's real life
situation.
Wow, I'm so glad
it's
I'm
true.
recording this.
They have
Yes,
true
Riley.
stuff
I
happens on
actually know
there.
the blood compatibility. O negative can be used for anyone regardless of blood type, but it can only be used once because after that point the body will reject it. That's why O negative.
Why are you so into this? Do you just like this stuff?
I was curious.
Yeah,
blood,
So O positive actually can be used for anyone regardless of blood type because of the fact that it's missing and
Oh, you're getting way too much. You're way too much. Oh my god. I didn't know the O negative could be used anyway. We're moving forward because this really isn't the lesson of the
One
day.
last fun fact.
What do you got?
Actually, the blood type O and O negative is actually a typo. It was actually supposed to be 1-0.
I don't
Or type
donate
zero.
blood, I donate
Oh, that
blood.
makes sense because it has no proteins.
Okay.
All
you
this
go.
show.
All right.
I can't relate. I just cannot relate. Anyway, so the placenta is what attaches. That's what attaches to you. As soon as the embryo attaches to the uterine wall, it's going to start growing immediately. It's going to be growing very, very quickly. Of course, the cells are constantly dividing and stuff like that. But now it's getting the nutrients it needs from the mother, and this is when you could detect that you are pregnant, which is at the 2-week period. All right, so the critical periods are as soon as the baby, as soon as the embryo attaches to the uterine wall. Now, critical periods are times during which certain environmental influences have an impact on the development of the infant. So, what is our first environment as a baby, as a growing organism? The womb, absolutely. That is your first environment. So, the critical periods are when we're discussing threats to the embryo. Why does it start at the embryonic stage and not the germinal stage? Why? Think about it logically. Why does the effects of the mother not affect during the germinal period, but do affect during the embryonic stage? Why, Jenny?
There's really not much part of the period as opposed to the
Why? Yeah, well, why?
embryonic periods when they get the major organs.
But why? Why does it start? So you can drink through your germinal period, but you shouldn't be drinking during your embryonic period. Why?
Oh, because that's when the placenta is.
Yes, that's because you're starting to connect. People do not know they're pregnant. It's not like, apparently, I've never been pregnant. Apparently, there's not a little alarm that goes off and says, pregnant. Like, it's one of those, like, surprises. You're like, oh, wonderful. Okay? So, with that being said, a lot of people don't know they're pregnant, yet they continue drinking and doing all these other things. As soon as they do figure out they're pregnant, they stop drinking and doing all that stuff. Makes sense. All of the critical periods are all the dangers that could be affecting. So alcohol, drugs, any of those types of things will affect the baby's development at this stage. Goodbye. We got off on some blood things today. What an unexpected day. We talked about peas,
Blood brothers.
and we talked about blood. This is just gonna be a great day.